I feel like I relate to that genre because I'm a fan, and it's what mostly gets played on the radio at this point. I don't necessarily feel like I've been pigeonholed, but I do feel like there's a push and pull in terms of me trying to sort of know my own identity as an artist. The sonic aesthetic that I'm drawn towards is not necessarily where I feel like I always end up, you know, in terms of being placed with other artists, but I don't know, it's interesting. I feel like I'm on this journey right now of exploring what that actually looks and feels like. That's what this record is for me, is kind of a expansion and exploration. I had a friend who sent me an email with that quote from Martha Graham in the body of the email, and it just stuck with me for months. And it's something that I thought I would name the record, and then I went through this whole trajectory of like trying on tons of different album titles, and then as always, I came back full circle. But you know, for me, the Blessed Unrest is so indicative of where I was last year. I was looking at my life in a really sort of critical way and feeling my own stagnancy and wanting to break through a lot of those feelings of stuckness. And I liked the way Martha frames that idea of there's a reason that we're dissatisfied with where we are, because we're being drawn into something greater and something, you know, our next artistic endeavor. And that was like a really peaceful way to look at the fact that I was leaving so much behind. I love looking at innovators in different mediums, and she is such a beautiful example of someone who, she was bearing the torch of this sort of new movement and gave people permission. You know, I think you have to have, she's very brave in that way. So yeah, I'm definitely drawn to her essence and sort of what she's done for her craft. I think I try to avoid giving myself the pressure of feeling like I'm a figurehead of anything. I really try to stay focused on making music that feels really authentic and music that feels like it's reflective of my heart. And then I have to kind of let go of the rest of it and hope that it lands in a soft place, and hope that people respond to it. I look at my industry and my peers, and I'm inspired by so many artists out there and relate to some of them and don't relate to others. But I think we're all kind of finding our way in a way. You know, the medium has changed so much, and it's a really exciting time to be making music, I think, too. Especially with, there's so much do-it-yourself stuff now. I think people are being given the tools and the resources to be especially creative. I think we're also inundated with a lot of music right now, but I think it's really cool to see people push boundaries. And I feel like there's some really cool artists, you know, doing really brave things. You know, I loved getting to work with Fun with Jack Antonoff with Fun. I think that's an example of a band that is doing something that's different, and you're watching it connect, and it's exciting. I was introduced to Jack through my friend Sarah Quinn, who is half of Tegan and Sarah. And Sarah and Jack are really close friends, and I had been telling her that I was looking to do some collaborative work, and she suggested Jack, just saying that he's a great guy, and if nothing else, we'd really enjoy, she knows us both, and she's like, you guys will get along. So Jack and I went to breakfast, and I fell in love with him. He's the most incredible human. He's so inspiring, so funny, so dear and sweet and charming and talented. So it felt like a really safe space initially, and then the first time we wrote together, he played me some tracks that he had partially written, and one of them was the sonic bed for Brave. And that song just came out really quickly. And so there was a lot of just natural synergy there. And he's just somebody he's so encouraging, he's so inspired and inspiring. Yeah, I've never had a relationship like that feel so immediate. So it was awesome. I love him. Absolutely. I mean, you know, the messaging of the song felt anthemic to me personally, but I didn't really realize that it was going to connect in the way that it did, and it's really amazing to watch this song kind of take on a life of its own. I'm so proud of the song itself. I'm proud of saying those words to people. I'm proud that as they hear it, they're connecting in a way where they want to share things that are very vulnerable. We were doing an art project on my last tour, and people were sharing I Am Brave Enough to postcards, so they would fill in that blank. And they were sharing the most amazing, beautiful stories about themselves, and I'm working on trying to launch that into even sort of like an initiative, a brave initiative to I don't know, even get that concept into schools and have people share what are they brave enough to do. Because it's a really reflective process to look at your fears in that way. And what I like about the concept of brave is that it's not about the outcome, it's about the intention of turning to face what it is that scares you. And it doesn't have to be, you know, nobody was sharing things like, I'm brave enough to win the basketball game. It was like, I'm brave enough to tell my family who I really am. And those kinds of moments are profound, and I felt so inspired by who was sharing and what they were sharing. Last year was a really hard year for me, and it was very introspective, and just looking at my life and how I had created these sort of constructs that I was just getting stuck inside of, in terms of relationships and my location, my career choices, things I was doing that felt repetitive and kind of just stagnant. And so I did a lot of work. I did a lot of personal work on facing a lot of those fears. And that's how I ended up here in New York. I made the move to New York. It's definitely how I ended up opening up the creative process to collaboration, which has totally changed my world. Yeah, it's really cool to be on the other side of some of those shifts and looking back and feeling really like I put my money where my mouth was. You know, I wrote a song like Brave, but I also was really choosing to make some choices that felt very brave for myself as well. So. Yeah, I'm still learning. I still screw up every other day, but you know, I'm doing my best.